This year for my birthday, I decided to make myself one of my dream cosplays, Star Guardian Soraka, and in this video I will show you how I made it. I decided to start with the skirt. I'm using some silk jupioni I had in my stash and cut the skirt as circle skirts. As jupioni frays a lot, I did French seams for joining all the panels together and then pressed them all with my iron. In her design, Soraka has a white frilly underskirt that pokes out of the hemline of her green skirt. To mimic this, I will be using this super cute Star Guardian appropriate ribbon I had in my stash and using it to finish the hem of the green skirt. I am doing it this way instead of making a separate underskirt, as it's much faster and is a really easy way to finish a curved hem. For the gold band detail on the skirt, I am using some gold gimp braid that is also from my stash. In all honesty, this whole costume mostly uses stash supplies. I'm using the gimp braid as it helps provide some depth and texture, which in the end will give the whole costume a really elegant look. Once all the details are on, I proceed to gather the waistline. I can then attach my waistband on, which is the final step, and the skirt is complete. It is then time to start on the bodice. I start by flat pattern drafting the bodice and cutting out each pattern piece. I then cut these from my fabrics and begin assembling the panels together. Once each seam is done, I then top stitch it. I then do this again, but with the lining. The lining is pinned to the fashion layer right side up so that I can do a bagged out lining. Once bagged out, I then top stitch along the edge. I then hand sew the braid onto the bottom edge of the bodice to make the gold detail. For the back panels, I am doing them in two stretch fabrics that I will fix together. I'm fixing them by bagging out along the bottom edge where the gold trim will go. It is then time to make the cups. I start by butting my foam layer together with a zigzag stitch. I then cut the cup panels from my main fabric. Once these are sewn together, each seam is then top stitched down. Once both the shell and foam cups are done, I prefix them together. For comfort and a clean finish, I then also add a lining made from denier to the cup. To finish the top edge of the cup, I bind it in lace. Before I add in the cups, I must create a support layer. To do this, I am lifting the pattern from the bodice. As the support layer will not be seen, I can use this cute Pokemon cotton for it. I stitch each panel together and then apply boning channels. I finish the bottom edge with elastic and the support section is done. It can then be attached into the bodice by inserting it into the side seam. Once the support section is in, I can add my finishing elastics to the top. I can then sew my cups into the cradle. This is always fiddly to do. I then tack my wire casings in place. In industry, we'd use a specialized machine for doing the wire casings normally. I do the tacking as I must stitch the wire casings in place from the front of the garment. Once the casing is secured by 2 lines of stitching, I can then insert the wire into the casing. And then this is the difference between the cup being non-wired versus it being wired. I can then sew the braid over half of where the wire casing sits. I then also apply the braid to the top edge. I can then add in the little center front petal. And then add a hook and eye closure in the back. And with that, the bodice is done. After the bodice, I move on to making the choker. I do this just by folding over a piece of silk and bagging it out. I press the strip of silk flat and then sew on a green gem. I then add some gold trim around this and add a closure in the back. I then move on to making the gloves. I make a pattern by tracing around my hand. I then trace this onto some stretch fabric and sew it by following the markings I made. I then carefully cut this out and I have a glove. I then cut and finish a facing for the pointy section, which is sewn on and then finished by hand stitching gold trim. I then proceed to start making the ears by dyeing some faux fur. To get the fur to dry faster, I blast it with my hairdryer. Whilst this dries, I tend to my wig, that is from an old cosplay which was styled with hot glue, so I spend hours removing it all from the wig. I then return to making the ears by cutting out and trimming the fur. These are then glued onto a 3D printed base, and these steps are all repeated for the pink fur. The two pieces of fur are then sewn together and further blended into the wig with acrylic paint. I then sew trims together for the armbands. I paint the dowel for my staff and paint all of my 3D printed stars. I cut some white tights and sew them onto nude ones to make the stockings. And with that, every element is done. Overall, I'm super happy with how this turned out. I did forget to film any landscape footage of me actually in this costume, oopsie. But I did end up taking this to MCM London and I felt super cute and magical in it. It's everything I ever wished this costume was. I do have a separate video on how I made her wings. But otherwise, this took me a total of 55 hours over 24 days. I think I could have made it a tiny bit faster, but I was just really enjoying myself with the process. I hope you look forward to seeing my next cosplay build, but for now, bye bye!